Right, so I've been researching inventors, and in particular I've come across this inventor called Richard Trevithick. Trevithick is how it's spelled. But Trevithick is the inventor of high-pressure steam engines, specifically locomotives. So in other words, choo-choo trains. Now, one thing I've discovered about Richard Trevithick, though, is that he was commonly referred to at the time as Captain Dick. And so Thank you.
Meanings for me.
So I've been trying to imagine, what can I do with Captain Dick? How can I monetize this? Can I send this to Marvel, TM? And can I kind of say, look, you guys are missing out on Captain Dick. You know, is it a bird? Is it a plane? Is that a flying dick? It's like, you know, he and then he kind of lands, and he's like, Captain Dick, ready for action. But the problem with this, though, is that a lot of superheroes, obviously, they come from kind of modern times. So you've got to be careful with anachronisms. You can't just have Captain Dick put on rubber, like modern superheroes. You can't have him, you know, while it might be the safe option to have your dick wrapped in latex, that's obviously quite anachronistic. And you can't just have some kind of flamboyant, ballsy cape just kind of hanging out, flopping around behind him. Because obviously back then textiles were only just starting to be mass produced. And so Dick's ballsy cape would have been pretty expensive for him. I don't think that's really an option. So what are going to be Captain Dick's powers? I mean, I can leave some of them to your imagination, but I've actually kind of done a bit of historical research into this, funnily enough. So it turns out that the real Richard Trevithick, the real Captain Dick, had super strength. So apparently, I mean, this is from his son's book about him, but apparently he was able to lift, 400 kilo bits of machinery, just kind of pop it on his shoulder, walk around, kind of, dance around with it a bit, show off to his mates. There's a time when a member of the Royal College of Surgeons asked to kind of study his body because it was so muscular and defined. So I think Captain Dick may have been a little bit vain, and maybe this got to his head. But that's kind of like the 18th century equivalent of being so jacked that you're studied for science. The other thing, there's this other great thing, which I think is going to be like in one of the fight scenes in the movie that I'm proposing to Marvel. Yeah. And that's when he's in London and he's assailed by pickpockets. So I'm kind of imagining this 10 dirty children kind of running around him. He picks up 2 of them by their heads, knocks them together, swings them around, scatters the rest of them. A bit of child violence is obviously very good for Marvel. It's kind of what's lacking at the moment, I think, from the Marvel franchise. The other thing about Dick was that he was really big. Really, really big. He was about 6'2". Now, considering the average height at the time was 5'5", that's a 9-inch difference. I mean, that'd be a bit like meeting someone today who, nowadays the standard height is 5'10", so that'd be like meeting someone who's 6'7". That's tall. They wouldn't be able to fit in here, basically. So basically, Captain Dick was really, really quite massive. That's, 9 inches is a whole lot of dick. But nowadays, it's kind of boring if it's just super strength and things like that. You kind of have to do a bit extra. The Hulk is at least green and has all this genetic things going on. He can't just be really strong and really big. So I've been using my skills as a historian to interpret things from the historical record. Now, obviously, Captain Dick's main power was erecting steam engines in particular, because what a lot of people don't know is that the early steam engines were all used for pumping. So it takes pumping water out of mines. Sorry, I forgot to finish that sentence. So you'd have these thick, lubricated pistons. Greased up pistons and, just thrusting from atmospheric pressure. And he actually built this one machine that could do 40 piston strokes per minute, which is actually pretty impressive, I think, by any standard, by any time. And really the whole point of this was just to suck that water right out of the ground so the miners could go a bit deeper. Just that little bit deeper, because they're digging for copper and tin and coal and stuff like that. I don't know why you're finding this all funny. I'm actually trying to tell you some history here, but whatever. So where better for Captain Dick to gain his substantial reputation, than by pumping wet holes or cracks in the ground. And actually, what's really interesting, this gets even better, is that the mine that he actually worked for from 1797 was the Ding Dong mine. So it was Captain Dick of Ding Dong, which has got me thinking about potential sidekicks. So who could be paired up with Captain Dick of Ding Dong? So his actual real-life sidekick was a guy called Edward Bull. So I quite like this. I think it's got a ring to it. You know, it's a great dynamic duo. You know, Dick and Bull. But if you don't like that, I mean, you know, you could maybe have some kind of like superhero team. You know, like the Avengers TM, something like that. Where there's these other guys called the Hornblower Brothers. So you've got Jonathan and Jabez. I just really think that Captain Dick and his Hornblowers really kind of has another ring to it and could be quite popular with audiences. So anyway. How long have I been going on? Sorry, I can't really tell from that. Okay, so basically, I'm actually not even going to bother to tell you the plot of this. But it involves him going to South America, which is real, by the way. He spent about a decade there, where he used his sucking skills to kind of where he used his sucking skills at the kind of ancient silver mines of Peru. He actually was involved in the Bolivarian independence movements. He designed this kind of cool musket shotgun kind of hybrid for them that they all used. Then he went off in search of gold mines of Costa Rica. He was the first European to cross the Isthmus of Nicaragua. First European. I imagine there's a lot of natives who also kind of like, that's not that impressive. But while he was doing that, he was like sitting on the banks, like, well, why is it taking so long? And during that time, he was menaced by an alligator and nearly drowned. And I kind of like to imagine the Hollywood version would be like him actually physically grappling with this alligator because he's obviously so strong, and otherwise it'd be a bit boring as a story. But finally, he ends up completely penniless in Cartagena in Colombia, where completely coincidentally he meets Robert Stevenson, who you may also have heard of as a quite famous steam engineer. And what happens next is quite interesting. I'm just going to read out this quote. "Is that Bobby?" Captain Dick ejaculated. "I've nursed him many a time." Which raises a really interesting question. What does it mean to be nursed by Captain Dick? I'm going to leave that to your imagination, but my favourite theory is, again, I'm interpreting historical evidence here, is that potentially he was able to breastfeed, which is actually quite a substantially new thing for the Marvel franchise. Anyway, but actually the plot's not all that important. It's really about the story arc. You know, I want to know how he develops as a character. So he starts off as this kind of macho, vain guy, you know, getting studied by surgeons, that sort of thing. But really, I want Dick to grow. I want him to maybe harden as a character. He needs to become fleshed out. Ultimately, by the end of it, I just really, really want the audiences to just love Dick. Just love him so much as a character. And only then can you get on with the whole thing, you know, building to climax, and then maybe just finishing off right at the end with just these explosive shooting scenes. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to my extended series of Dick.
If, like me, you have no real background in critical discourse theory, it might be difficult to unpack the subtext of what Anton was trying to say there. Did you like the bit, by the way, where it slipped out and I helped him put it back in the right place?